Ever wondered how much money the biggest criminals in history actually stole? Today, we're diving into some of the most insane heists ever pulled off and seeing how much they would be worth in today's money. From stolen diamonds, to missing artworks worth millions of dollars, to entire vaults emptied overnight, these heists will blow your mind. So buckle up, hit that like button, and let's get into it. The Stockholm helicopter heist in 2009. Thieves used a stolen helicopter to land on a G4S cash depot roof in Västberga, Stockholm. They had sabotaged police helicopters the night before by placing fake bombs near them. They cut through skylights with a sledgehammer and chainsaw, grabbed 39 million Swedish kroner, around $6 million, worth 8.5 million today, and escaped before police could respond. The daring method made this iconic. Several gang members were caught and convicted after bragging about being part of the coolest heist in Sweden. The Great Brink's robbery in 1950. A crew of 11 men stole $2.7 million in cash and checks from a Brink's armored car depot in Boston. That's worth over $32 million today. It was called the crime of the century, and the thieves wore Halloween masks, entered quietly, and left without firing a shot. They almost got away with it until they started arguing over the money. The arguments exposed them, and most of the crew was arrested just days before the statute of limitations expired after nearly 6 years of freedom. The Dunbar armored robbery in 1997. An inside man helped thieves take $18.9 million from a cash depot in Los Angeles, worth over $36 million today. It remains the largest cash heist in U.S. history. The plan was flawless until one suspect handed a stack of bills to a friend who spent it too loudly. Investigators followed the trail of brand new notes and eventually arrested the entire crew years later. The Banco Itau heist in Sao Paulo, Brazil, 2011. A group of 12 men dressed as laborers walked into the Banco Itau branch in Sao Paulo after midnight during a renovation period. They stole $58.5 million worth of valuables from approximately 170 private strongboxes, worth about $80 million today. The thieves exploited the renovation timing to gain access. Several suspects were later identified and arrested, though much of the stolen property was never recovered. The Carlton Hotel diamond theft in 1994. Masked thieves armed with machine guns stormed the Carlton Hotel's jewelry store in Cannes and stole approximately 60 to 77 million in diamonds, worth around $120 million today. No one was injured, the thieves were never caught, and the diamonds were never recovered. The Northern Bank robbery in Belfast in 2004. Armed men kidnapped 2 bank officials and their families, holding them hostage overnight. They forced the officials to help them access the cash storage facility, stealing £26.5 million, about $50 million, worth 77 to 80 million today. The crime was linked to the Irish Republican Army and shocked Northern Ireland, triggering major changes in bank security. Police recovered some money, and several individuals connected to the Irish Republican Army, IRA, were identified. No one has ever been convicted for the robbery itself. The Loomis Fargo heist in 1997. Disgruntled armored car driver David Scott Gant loaded $17.3 million into a company van in Charlotte, North Carolina, and simply drove away. That's about $32 million today. He fled to Mexico while his accomplices stayed behind. Their sudden lavish lifestyle mansions, BMWs, breast implants quickly drew FBI attention. Gant was arrested in Mexico. About 95% of the money was recovered. The heist inspired the 2016 film Masterminds. The Harry Winston jewelry heist in 2008. 4 thieves, 3 dressed convincingly as women in wigs and high heels, entered the Harry Winston boutique in Paris and held staff at gunpoint. They stole 80 million euros worth of jewelry, about $108 million, worth around 150 million today. They had hit the same store just over a year earlier. Several gang members were eventually arrested when they tried to fence the diamonds, but most jewels have never been recovered. The Securitas depot robbery in 2006. Masked robbers kidnapped the manager of a Securitas cash depot in Tonbridge, Kent, along with his family. They forced him to let them into the facility, where they tied up 14 staff members and escaped with £53 million, about $92 million, worth $135 million today. It's the largest cash robbery in British history. Most of the crew was captured after spending too publicly. Only about £150,000 was ever recovered. The Hatton Garden safe deposit heist in 2015. A group of elderly thieves, most in their 60s and 70s, drilled through reinforced concrete walls at the Hatton Garden Safe Deposit Company in London over Easter weekend. They disabled the alarm and stole up to £14 million, $20 million, worth about 27 to 30 million today. Nicknamed the Bad Grandpa, every member was eventually caught on surveillance and through incriminating conversations. It's considered the largest burglary in English legal history. The Antwerp diamond heist in 2003. Known as the Heist of the Century, a gang led by Leonardo Notarbartolo defeated 10 layers of security at the Antwerp Diamond Center. Heat sensors, magnetic locks, Doppler radar, seismic sensors, cameras, everything. They spent years planning, with Notarbartolo renting an office in the building. They struck over a weekend and stole over $100 million in diamonds and valuables worth about $170 million today. Most jewels were never recovered. Notarbartolo was arrested after being linked to the scene by DNA on a partially eaten sandwich. The British Bank of the Middle East robbery in 1976. During the Lebanese Civil War, a group blasted through a church wall to access the bank in Beirut. Over several days, with Civil War providing cover, they removed gold bars, cash, jewelry, stocks, and bonds worth £25 million, $245 million today. The operation was led by Ali Hassan Salameh, mastermind of the 1972 Munich Olympics attack. The loot was flown to Geneva on chartered planes. None of the perpetrators were ever caught, and none of the assets were recovered. The Dar es Salaam bank heist in 2007. During the Iraqi Civil War, 2 or 3 security guards at the Dar es Salaam investment bank in Baghdad simply walked away with $282 million in cash, about $410 million today. Bank employees arrived the next morning to find the doors unlocked and the vault empty. The guards vanished without a trace. No one was ever arrested, and none of the money has been recovered. Guinness World Records recognizes this as the greatest robbery of a bank. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist in 1990. 2 men dressed as police officers convinced guards to let them inside the Boston Museum. They tied up the guards and spent 81 minutes removing 13 priceless artworks, including pieces by Vermeer, Rembrandt, Manet, and Degas, valued at over $500 million at the time, now estimated at $500 million to over $1 billion today. The empty frames still hang in the museum today. Despite a $10 million reward and extensive investigation, no arrests have ever been made. This remains the most valuable unsolved art theft in history. The Central Bank of Iraq robbery in 2003. Just hours before the US invasion began, Saddam Hussein's son Qusay arrived at the Central Bank of Iraq with a handwritten note from his father ordering the withdrawal of nearly $1 billion in US currency. 3 trucks loaded with nearly $1 billion in cash left the bank at 4 a.m., worth approximately $1.6 billion today. The operation took over 5 hours. Coalition forces later recovered approximately $650 million hidden in palace walls, but around $350 million was never found. Qusay and his brother Uday were killed by US forces in July 2003. This remains the largest bank robbery in history. And that wraps up some of the biggest heists in history, each one more unbelievable than the last. If you enjoyed this deep dive into how much these criminals really got away with, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know which heist blew your mind the most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.